Hey friends. Hey everybody. Welcome back. Let's get cozy and comfy, right? Doggy. We are just waiting for Tiffany, who is about to join us for this conversation. Hi. I'm so excited to be back. This is amazing. So, just waiting on Tiffany and giving some people time to show up and get online and all the things. This will be saved. There is Tiff. Okay. Let me... for this conversation. Oh, there we go. Hi, beautiful.
Hi. Coming to you live from the car.
Coming to you live from the backyard. Looks like I'm in the city.
It looks
but
like
I'm
you're
not.
in the city. It looks like
I'm
you're
in the burbs.
Cute rustic place. I love that.
You know, that was the plan. It's set design. It's good set design.
I love a good set design.
How are you?
You're doing it big.
Big.
I'm doing well. I just I'm having a beautiful day today. I just finished getting my hair done. And so,
looks good.
Hey Brittany.
It's the perfect way to a midweek refresh, right?
Yes, I need a little midweek refresh.
Well, I'm so happy that you are here for my first Instagram Live back from Jock Talk from a massive hiatus. And I wanted you to be the first guest back because of this topic and because you were one of the people that helped me get back to life. And so I was like, are you frozen, girl? Hold on, she's back. Hold on. We lost her for a minute, but she's back. She's coming back. Here she is. Hey, you're back.
I was like, what happened?
It's okay. We just, it wanted, first time back, it wants to cause a little thing. But I was saying I wanted to have this conversation with you because I left doing Jock Talk before because of grief and I was numb and I couldn't handle it. I know that now. I didn't know that at the moment. And one of the reasons that I am able to come back with a new force and a new energy is partly because of you, partly because of the community of Nashville that I've built and friends and life. And I realized I'm like, oh, some of the stuff I wish I would have known before. And I wish that we talked about grief and community more openly as a society, especially post-pandemic. Because I feel like a lot of people are grieving, not even just lives, but jobs and finances and all sorts of things. And I was like, you know who the perfect person is? Tiffany. Tiffany. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you know what? I think to your point about this particular topic, I agree with you. I don't think we talk about grief enough, and I don't think we talk about how we move through and with grief. And so I'm really excited to connect with you today on this.
Hey, what I first wanted to do before we dive into grief, such a midweek conversation. Look at that breeze in this hair. Is I wanted to ask, just so people that might not know who you are on my followers or listeners, where are you from? And tell us a little bit about what makes you you in terms of family, career, who is Tiff?
Yeah, I appreciate that question a lot. So, and also I want to know, can you see me okay? Is everything Gucci?
I can see you. You're a little dark, but not like
Okay.
it's not like you're hidden in the
Okay.
midst.
Okay. um, that's good. So my name's Tiffany, and I moved to Tennessee in 2019 from New York City, where I spent most of my career in marketing. And so I own my own company. I'm an entrepreneur, and I really specialize in influencer marketing. So working with brands on end-to-end influencer marketing strategy capabilities. And I've been doing that work for, I've been owning my company for about like 13 years at this point. And so um, part of who I am as an entrepreneur, it's definitely part of my identity, but I also am a sister. I am a daughter. I am a friend who loves deeply, and um, someone who I believe has just a spiritual calling on my life to be a force that allows people to, feel comfort and
Mhm.
connect more deeply with one another.
Mhm.
And just, I'm someone who has a sense of discernment. So when I do go to places, and moved several times in my life, and so when I'm in a new space and place, I'm always looking for, you know, who are the community leaders, who are the people who I can connect with and really feel, um, that I can serve and be in a purpose driven life with. So that's a little bit about me, and I feel like in this type of conversation, um, it's really interesting to me because my job and what I do for a living
Mhm.
is I feel very blessed in that. I'm a pretty successful entrepreneur, but I also and I'm launching a new company. But I think most importantly, I have a sub brand that I call Conscious Hustler, which is a sort of definition that has allowed me to sort of see others that are similar.
Mhm.
And I call them conscious hustlers like yourself. Like you are going to perform at the highest level, but you also aren't just grinding to grind. You're making it so that your heart and your who you are as a person, your integrity, is also showing up to the table. And
Mhm.
those are the kinds of people that I enjoy working with, being in community with. And so I am a conscious hustler. I'm an entrepreneur, and I keep space with good-hearted humans like yourself.
I appreciate you saying that, and you are all those things. And from the moment I met you, you were the light I didn't know I needed, but
Oh wow.
God knew I needed. And you led me to so many other people. Like your community is so full of love and intention, and that kind of brings me to when like your mother had passed away, my father passed away almost 2 years ago. And I started, when he passed away, I truly learned the difference between friendship and acquaintances. I
Hmm.
think I put a lot of people in the friendship bucket. And
Hmm.
so I had an expectation, but I really learned like who my friends were, who my community was, who my people were, when they showed up. And I wondered if like you found the same thing in not only when your mother passed away, but in you've moved a lot in your transitions.
Hmm.
Have you been able to figure out
Yeah,
who is friends, who is acquaintances? How do you figure that out yourself?
that's a very that's a juicy one, child. That's a juicy question. And my friends
We're
that
just here
are
to juice the
very
things.
my friends that are very close to me, this is probably one of the things that they know that I tend to struggle with because I'm very like I love everybody. I want to help everybody. I want
Mm-hmm.
to. And what I've been learning in my late 30s is that you can't give everybody that kind of access to you, access to your community, access to it's just even though your heart and your intentions in the right place, and even though I can discern somebody has a good energy and good spirit,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they're not the people that should be in that inner circle, in that inner sanctum,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not because of anything else other than like, and you don't have to, people don't have to prove themselves to you, but it's like, you have to be in a space where you can observe, you know? And here's
Mm-hmm.
the thing about people, right? Until something agitates the relationship, everything is just going to coast.
Mm-hmm.
So you actually don't know how people behave until something happens. And related to grief, though, when you take that and like connect it to grief, um, that was the most single traumatic event of my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched my mother die. So, you know, I was with her that morning in her office. And then next thing I knew, my father was screaming my name, and I was ushering 911 into their bathroom. And I watched my father try to resuscitate my mother, and like nothing hurt. Something happened with her heart. Her heart gave out. So like, I say that to say, I had a very traumatic experience in my mother's death. It wasn't this peaceful thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I was there with my dad, and I was able to, when the word got out to my people,
Mm-hmm.
um, not only did I have a lot of people like calling me and things, but there there was like a core group that, and they know who they are, but there was a
Mm-hmm.
core group that, how do I say this, held me up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and provided resources for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because what people don't talk about is that you actually don't get to grieve until the business of death is over, you know.
Amen.
It's like, it's like, who knows the flower person, who knows the funeral home, the casket color, why are these caskets so expensive, like just so much stuff. And I'm like, if y'all don't put me in a pine box, don't spend this money on me. Like,
That's what I told
there's
my daddy.
so
I was like,
much.
why? Why? Why
There's
you need a
so
view?
much stuff. There's so much, right? And so, and there are things that, like, you know, it's funny because I was pressuring my parents to like write stuff down and tell me things. But what was interesting is that I had a very good friend who lost her grandmother maybe like a year or two prior, and had already went through like the checklist of things that she was literally able to send me a document that she used, literally like a budget and a
Mm-hmm.
checklist of like, don't just get one death certificate, get 10. Like, don't just, because there's just so much stuff that, like, at someone my age, I haven't experienced a death that's like close to me that I'm kind of responsible for in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so experiencing that, and then having friends who were able to stand in the gap,
Mm-hmm.
made all the difference. Friends that were far away that were able to do that, because mind you, this was 2020.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of grace I had to give people who couldn't do what they may have wanted to do. And
Mm-hmm.
it was difficult for me because I wanted the world to stop, you
Yeah.
know. I wanted the world to stop and be like, we gotta help Tiffany, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There are three girlfriends that I met when I was in Wisconsin, because I spent my last bit of high school there. Still three of my best girlfriends to this day. They
Mm-hmm.
Two of them drove down from
Mm-hmm.
DC, one from Wisconsin, and another flew. And they did it without me asking them to. They did it
Mm-hmm.
without me telling them. They brought groceries to my house. They literally, one of them, my friend Stephanie, she's a PhD in behavioral economics,
Mm-hmm.
and she edited the obit that I wrote for my mother, like the long form obit. And when I tell you, like, meticulous, I was like, I feel like I was in school, but like, it was meticulous. It was like, this is a double negative. This is a, I had another friend who was able to help me with design and some of the things that I needed done. I had another friend who edited video, like, because we had, Zoom and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had another friend who gave me recommendations. So I wanted singers at my mother's funeral. So like,
Mm-hmm.
there are some people who understood the assignment
Mm-hmm.
There were some people who I thought would and didn't. And I felt like, oh my God, like, are we even friends? You know?
Mm-hmm.
But then I also, I had to give them some grace, you know? And that was, it took me a minute, but like, I gave them grace because what I realized about humans is that I have a very, very deep capacity for emotion, very deep capacity for emotion. I've learned over time that not a lot of people do.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't I can't be mad at people that don't have the capacity, that don't have the
Yeah.
tools. And that's the thing that I did struggle with because I wanted them to show up for me in the way that I needed, and they couldn't. They
Mm-hmm.
like literally couldn't. And there was one friend that um it was like a season. He called me every day. Every day. I haven't talked to him in like a year and a half, you know, now, but like in that season, he called me every day, checked in on me every single day. And it was a newer friend too. So like
Mm-hmm.
there are what I've just experienced is that like whoever has the capacity to do it, accept it. You know, accept that love too. Like, and I learned that the friends that I've had who could look at me from across the room and know exactly what I'm thinking, those people that didn't have the capacity to do it, I also had to be strong enough to have the conversation too, to say like, you know, hey, I really like your absence was was obvious to me during this time, you know,
Oh,
and
girl.
letting them hold space, like holding space to let them come to me in a sense of like, you know what, yeah, because it's easy, because again, people that maybe have a lot of emotion but don't know how to communicate
Mm-hmm.
or be in a space of vulnerability, or in a place where they can, you know, do something for you. um, the grace for me was in me saying, I missed you during this very big time in my life, and I don't feel any ill will towards you, but it was, I noticed it. And I had a homeboy that told me, he's like, I dropped the ball in this, and I didn't know what to say.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what to do. And that's for people in our age range, like 30s to 40s, when you have that first loss, some people, they, you know, they just don't know what to do. So to related to grief, friendship, those that have been through some trenches with you,
Mm-hmm.
they won't let you fall. They won't let you go through it alone. Even they can rally the troops. There, you know, there can be like the voice piece to the rest of the crew, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but like those are people who I genuinely believe um, will follow you to the ends of the earth and then some, or tell you like, we ain't going to the ends of the earth, so get your ass back here. You know, like, you know, we need to have both those crews
Both
intact.
ends.
Yes.
I had such a in a similar thing when my dad passed. It was
Mm.
2021, and I was back.
Okay. Yeah.
It's all good. No emergency. It was 2021, and my three best friends from home were there because I was there, and they had been able to see my dad a lot. My dad had cancer, um, so he couldn't. He would drive by and say hi to everybody. But my best
Mm.
friend since fifth grade, her dad died a week after my dad died, and I had to call her and say to her, I can't be the friend to you that you need right now because I can't even be something to myself. And she's like, I can't be the friend. She's like, I can't come to your dad's funeral because I
Mm.
have to play it. And I was like, girl, it was the most honest conversation of somebody I'd known for years. Like, wow. And we talk about it now because we text and we did things, but physically, I'm like, I I can't even look at you because you remind me of my dad. It was so close, and it was interesting how the other girls in my group and my other friends picked up those pieces that my best friend would have done if she had had the capacity. but she didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
capacity because her dad had just passed
Mm-hmm.
away. Like it was, but I
Mm-hmm.
held space because I'm like, I know what you want to do and I know what I want to do, but I can't do it because I
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
can't do anything. I mean, I was
Right.
doing a lot of stuff, but realistically,
Literally,
was I really doing anything? Not well.
girl.
Not well. I was showing up. I was showing up.
Yeah, and I think when you're also like, I'm an entrepreneur. I had clients. I was in a client
Mm-hmm.
meeting when this all went down. I had friends that literally were like, "What do you need me to do? Do I need to write strategy? Do you?" Because the other thing that happened was like my friends were like, "Oh, you're not losing no business either. Like, we're gonna make sure whatever your client they get." I'm sorry, I'm like moving around a lot. So I'm like, I'm in a car, and I'm like, this isn't comfortable.
There you go. Okay.
Let me see. I'm gonna put you down.
It's
Yeah.
okay. We go with the flow here. There's a
And that
dog
also
running
mattered a lot.
back and forth. If you see me moving, it's
That
because
meant
there's
a
a
lot.
dog.
There's it meant a lot to me that like there the things that your friends are really great at, like let them be great at that thing. Let them
Mm-hmm.
be great at how they care for you. Because I have friends, my business friends, and people that are very close to me, they were like ready to write strategy for me. They were ready to keep the communications going. So at the time when this happened, my business wasn't as thriving as it is now, and they were ready to jump in. Like, Tiffany's unavailable,
Mm-hmm.
but here's what we can do, and that meant a lot because I don't trust nobody with nothing, and so
Yeah.
to be able to trust my friends that are talented in my skill set, like, was a big deal for me. And um to trust that, like, my other best girlfriend who came down, she knew that I love chocolate chip cookies. It's
Mm-hmm.
like my jam. And
It
so
is your
she
jam.
baked chocolate chip cookies for me and my family, and they're really for me, but that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
you know and she had to deal with my aunties, you know what I'm saying, and like
Yeah.
talking about, look what you're doing in the kitchen. I'm like, these people are from Tupelo, Mississippi. I'm like, this little white girl from Wisconsin is in the kitchen, and they're like, what you about to do? And they've known her
Mm-hmm.
and had requests like, can you make mine small, can you make mine burnt, can you make mine? I said, if y'all don't leave my friend alone, this isn't even for you, this is for me. Like, you
Oh my
know
gosh. I love friends.
I love friends too.
I guess that ties into the thought of like how grief impacted your business because both of us are like entrepreneurs. I'm in music and I write and I do things and for me, I thought I was doing great. I launched a Kickstarter after my
Mm-hmm.
dad passed. I did all sorts of stuff. And then I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I haven't grieved. So a lot of things fell through the cracks because I
Mm-hmm.
realized I did not delegate anything. I was like, I could do all of this. My daddy would be so proud. And then I was like, or I should just sleep. I should probably just take a little nap. Um, and now I'm realizing I'm like, oh, I wasn't functioning. I didn't know how to separate my work and my grieving. Like it all kind of like clumped in
Mm-hmm.
together. So was your business impacted by grief? Like in the short term, in the long term, like how did you manage that? How did you manage staying on when your soul needs to be off for a minute, you know?
I think I do know. I essentially was sort of, I have like a month where I was just like, don't count on me. I told everybody, just like, don't count on me. Um, and then I was like, I think I'm ready to get back to work. Um, and then when I was in that space of getting back to work, I was working with one client at the time who I really did a lot of the all of the like brand partnership work and sort of her manager at the
Mm-hmm.
time. And she had given me some news where I was like, wait. So like it was, she essentially had bought a space or leased a space. And this is still 2020. This is the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So nobody's going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And that space cost a lot of money. And I'm like, from an operational decision, she knew that if I was in it at that time, I would have said, I don't think we should do this. So when I came back from out of work, she was really excited because she got the space, and I was not excited. I I was like, you did what? I was like, I was like, the impact of this is going to be a lot for everybody, you know?
Mhm.
And, you know, it's sort of hard when you're dealing with a creative and an incredible visionary like my friend, but like there was, we had to kind of get through that like little riff because I didn't like, I wasn't approving of the decision.
Yeah.
And she did it when I was sort of like out of pocket. And
Hmm.
so it was like, hmm.
Yeah.
So I had to deal with things that I was like, I would have done it differently. But I got over that really quickly and like we made things pop off. But like I think here's the thing about here's the thing about me. I don't know about everybody else, but here's the thing
Hmm.
about me. Like I don't know about the rest of y'all. But for me, my grief, what I learned literally in the moment uh, that my mom passed, it was it was a visceral, guttural, like lots of tears,
Hmm.
lots of
Yeah.
tears. Um, but I knew the impact of her life for me because I remember I came downstairs to my dad. I was in my dad's place and I like laid my head on his lap and I said, I know I'm a child of God because I still have joy in my heart. I'm going through this thing that is terrible and I don't wish it on
Hmm.
my worst enemy, but I still have joy in my heart. I still laugh. I still
Hmm.
like find joy in life.
Hmm.
And it made me think to myself, like, I can get through anything. And I found and got really deeply ingrained in the ways my mother speaks to me. And I understood that I had to tune my ears to a different frequency and a different vibration because she was not physically with me, but I knew she was present, you know, and present
Hmm.
in how she needed me to hear. And I got really comforted by that because even while I'm, you know, doing other things, you know, I was more comfortable by knowing like my mother's presence is with me. And I see her and speak to her all the time
Hmm.
in my heart and my visions and you know the little signs that you know she gives me where I her birthday's June 11th and I see 611 all the time randomly like
Hmm.
I'll just happen to wake up. There was a week where I happened to wake up, it was 611 on the dot, like
Hmm.
every time. And that type of thing when you were like kind of clear with God and center and in spirit, like when the waves of emotion come,
Hmm.
it's a lot easier to deal with that when you understand how spirit moves and that your
Hmm.
people are always with you, you know? And it sounds like that's what the elders at the church say, like, oh,
But they
baby,
are.
they're she with you, don't worry, babe. You know, all that. It's like it's true. No, no, it doesn't hurt less. No, it
Hmm.
doesn't remove the idea that, like, damn, when I get married, when I have kids, my mom's not going to be physically present, but she will be absolutely present, you know? So, like, there are those things that, you know, if I think about it too hard, I start to, like, get emotional because I want her physical being.
Hmm.
But then I remember so many things she's taught me, so many things she's done for me. And when it comes to the work, I don't work just to be working, just to say I like work. I mean,
Hmm.
I genuinely enjoy what I do. My mother was the first entrepreneur I ever knew.
Hmm.
She, when I moved here, I had an opportunity to go to Israel for a trip, and she said, um, "Hey, I can either help you with this, or I'm going to pay I can pay your credit card." And I was like, "Oh, what? That's a nice thing to do." And she's like, "Which one do you want to do? Do you want to go on this trip, or do you want me to pay your credit card?" And my credit card was like $1,500. I mean, I could have paid it. I just was
Yeah.
bullshitting. And I was like, "Oh, pay my credit
Been
card,"
there.
you know? She's like, right. She's like, "Good choice." And she's like, "The reason why I did that is because I want you to pass along to another entrepreneur. Like, you're a young woman in business. You know, you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself, but you're successful, you're going to have to pass things down, do something for somebody. So like my mom left it all on the table. And when it comes to work, my family and work go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we we're good in that way. And I feel like I would be disrespecting my mother, the thing she's taught me, the way she knows I can live out a dream. Like I would be, oh, I feel like I got a whooping just thinking about it. Like
Yeah.
just you know what I'm saying? Like she'd be like, what are you doing? She would haunt me.
My dad
She'd
just
be like, you
sent a message to me a few days ago that was clear as day, that I was like, oh
mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm about
Yeah,
to, okay. I
like
was like,
get
yeah,
your ass up.
and I knew, like, where you have the numbers, my dad says a certain line to me whenever we got off the phone, and my family is a little segregated. Like I'm black and white, and they didn't know each other. So sometimes I get messages through one side, but they don't even know this. It's very interesting. I truly
Mm.
believe that my mom has passed away too. She passed when I was a baby. So I believe they're just sitting up with God, like just passing me messages like, this girl's going to hear this today. And I go, I used to like cry. Now I'm like, I heard you. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
To the
I just
moon.
started to say it
Okay.
like that. It's like thank you.
I
I'd be like,
go,
okay,
okay.
I
I'm like,
got
I
you.
got it, Dad. I say back, I'm like, Dad, I'm trying. I'm like, because just like
Yes.
my dad is a worker. My dad taught me lessons where I feel like I am blessed that, and I sound weird saying this, like that I have experienced so much grief in my life. The blessing of that happening by 40 years old is that so many of us haven't, of our age group. And I can hold so much space for people and friends that are losing things or have not experienced this. Cause I'm like, I can tell you this is going to suck, but also think of the angels you have, think of the guidance you have, trust the wisdom that you have ingested. Like, I think for me, grief taught me how to trust my inner self. Like, I had to get really quiet and
Mm.
be like, you're not gone. Like, your physical is gone. There are memories we are not going to make. And I
There,
grieve my
yeah.
mom. She was 2 when I passed away. I don't know her voice. I don't know anything. But you know what I do know? I know
Right.
that I'm a walking embodiment of her. I know I am a walking representation of my dad. I look like my daddy. So, and I know I get to live a life because they existed. And that is all we can do. And I know I am a better person because of them.
Oh yeah,
And sometimes
absolutely.
and we are not the author of our time. Like, we are not. Whatever you believe
Mm-hmm.
in, you are not in control of how long you are living on this earth, of all your circumstances. You have no control. You have control of like so minute things. Like, I learned, like, time, I'm gonna make use of my time because I don't know how much I have,
Mm-hmm.
and I want my story to impact somebody else, so somebody can be like, you know what, Stephanie's there sending me signs from
Yeah.
like wherever, like, and it made me a better friend. It
Yeah.
took a moment because
Well,
I went down in a hole, and I had a friend that said, I know you're sad, but I'm gonna need you to go write a song.
yeah.
I'm gonna need you to go to do something, because you sitting crying against a wall
It's not working for you
isn't
anymore.
changing things. Yeah, she's like,
Right.
it's okay. She's like, you can be sad, but I need you to be
Yeah.
functional and sad.
Yeah. Functional and sad. I'm tickled by that. You know, it's interesting because your point about being a good friend, you know, when you go through something, you have the experience to say like, oh, I can create space and hold space for my friends that are going through this. And, you know, I feel like I was like, maybe I made this look a little too easy. I'm like, maybe maybe I didn't let grief look a little too easy, because it was like a sister be going through it too. And I think in my and I've many private moments, many,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes they're fleeting. They're not they're not even worth talking about with somebody. It's
Mm-hmm.
like I woke up in the morning and I was like, I cried for 50 seconds, and I said, well, all right.
Yeah.
you going on about your day, and like media, like God speaks to me through media, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'll watch a TV show, I'll watch something, I'll hear a song. Like I can't listen to Celine Dion's Because You Love
No.
Me if I'm driving. Like if I listen to that song while I'm driving, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
like it's the lyrics are so powerful, and it reminds me of my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there was somebody that said in the chat, like, your mother's voice, and that was something I'd said to somebody, child, I don't know, but I was like, up until this time, like I know I have guides and angels, but like the fact that my mother is now on this other plane, like this is the first voice I'll hear, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's the first, like that intuition that's like, and the way she talks to me, like,
Yes.
it's not in this like, it's very much like I had a mini panic attack one time, and I was just in the corner of my room, and I was like trying to calm myself down, and I was like, I was like, I'm gonna die, I kept saying that, I'm gonna die, and I felt I felt my mother hold me
Mm-hmm.
and say, "You're not gonna die." Like
Mm-hmm.
she like, and the energy of how she would say that to me, like, if you don't get your shit together, you ain't gonna die, girl. Get on up,
Mm-hmm.
like, and those moments, it's not just your imagination. It is truly the energy of someone's watching you, like truly
Mm-hmm.
watching you. Times where I find myself in scenarios where I'm like, how did I get here? Why did I volunteer? And knowing it's a dangerous situation, like it's now that I say dangerous, it's like I was helping a friend out, and I was driving a car to an auto shop. And when the car hit like 55, 60, it was like, like the steering wheel was like, and
Yeah.
I remembered I was thinking like the doggone hood was going to fly up on the highway. And I heard my mother's voice, and I heard her say, you know better. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I did. Because
Yeah.
what she was really saying is, there is absolutely no reason why you should be in this situation right now, and don't do shit like that. And I don't want you messing with this person no more. And that's it. And that's it.
That's it. Your mom and
So
my dad must be having
they're
conversations.
having a good old time, honey. They're like, look at these two girls in Tennessee. What are they doing down
What?
there? But I think that like somebody help them. But to your point about like what it means to be a good friend, and what it means to, have this um sort of in your back pocket, it does give you a level of intimacy with people who are struggling with grief that you truly can relate. Now, here's the gag. Other things are happening in life. When you lose someone, you also somebody else lost someone, and their connection, their attachment is a little different.
Yeah.
And the way that they grieve is different. With my
Mm-hmm.
sister, you know, she had her own style of that. And there are some things that, she's an Aries. So like some things were very like anger driven, or it seemed like anger,
Mm-hmm.
but underneath it, it was deep sadness, And
Mm-hmm.
so being able to like move through, especially with the people that are closest to you, be able to move through people's grief and letting them be when they need to just
Mm-hmm.
be, and having a lot of empathy, because you lost the same person. My
Mm-hmm.
father lost his lifelong partner, his wife,
Mm-hmm.
and he's in a position now where he's dating somebody else. And
Yeah.
that is weird. The fact that I said that is growth for me, because
Yeah.
when this happened, I said, I don't want to know nothing about it. Leave me alone. This isn't something I want to talk about. Like, I never, like, I didn't want to know
Mm-hmm.
nothing about nothing. And
Yeah.
I realized that, like, our mutual attachment to this one person, my mother, has different
Mm-hmm.
meanings, depending on who you are in that scenario. And so
Yes.
how we move through the shift in dynamic as a family, because it's like we're grieving my mom, but then we're also grieving what our family was, and
Mm-hmm.
the shift and the change that is happening in the process. And that is something that, like, that
That's
takes time. This is,
So
you
much time.
don't just jump into like, oh, okay, well, you know, that takes so much time. And there was a point where I was like, yo, I'm losing my family. Like, I'm losing my
Yeah.
family. And I was feeling grief around that. And like the fact that we were able to continuously continue to pour into each other, even when we're being nasty to one another, even when we don't understand, even when we don't have time, even when my dad's selling the house, even when, things that just were like, I'm I'm in my mother's car, it's actually my car now, but I've been riding around with her clothes in my back seat or in my trunk because I
Hmm.
want to get a quilt made from when my dad sold a house last year. So
Hmm.
like when I pick up my friends and they're like, "Let me pop the trunk," I'm like, "No,
No,
we can't pop
not there.
nothing.
No, no.
Can't pop nothing because can't put nothing in there."
Nope.
But there's this element of like going through your mother's closet or going through your loved one's closet after they pass and sort of taking the things that are meaningful to you and like
Hmm.
letting go of the rest, doing the
Yeah.
actual act of transitioning your life to be more it can't that house was like a mausoleum. It's like it was like
Yeah.
a
You
museum.
have to keep living.
You got to keep it, you have to keep living. And I think that's a really, it's really hard to, it's it's easy and hard to do,
Yeah.
um because there are just markers of things that happen in our life that remind us of a time where there was so much care and love and consideration. And as those things transition, as what someone could have been the glue to, when that goes away, sometimes people fall apart. Sometimes people aren't as they aren't there,
Hmm.
to keep things together.
Hmm.
And so, how do we treat one another? How do we behave in our grief?
I think I relate to that. I have four brothers, and we all grieve very differently and had a very different relationship with our dad, had very different stories. I'm the only girl in that group, so I got a lot of attention. I felt differently, and I had to hold a lot of space for my brother's anger, for
Mm-hmm.
my brother's emotions, for my brother's not wanting things. I was like, why don't you want that? Why don't you want like these items? They were dad's. Like I had so many big emotions, and their emotions seemed like more pushing away, and I was offended. Then I saw, I'm like, oh, that's their lot. Like their grief is also they won't ever have the relationship that I had. Like that story is ended, and now we look back almost 2 years later and say we all are living and we've chosen different things. I have more stuff of my dad's than they do, but I've held it for them for when they're ready. Um, they seem to turn life on faster than I did, but I don't know if that's true. That's just my perception. I think that's how they had to be to function, and I lost like my best friend, so it's a different role. But I will say, kind of agreeing with you, I learned how to live from my
Mm-hmm.
dad dying. I've experienced loss. Like my mom passed away, my boyfriend passed away. Like there's been a lot, but this is like my adult. I was like, oh, life still goes on. People still have to pay bills. I still have to pay this bill. So I still have to figure out how to do this. I have to still show up. Um, and my dad had said when he was sick, you need to leave. If I die, you'll come back, but go. I need you to live, because he said this to me while he was living. And I was like, no. And I stayed. But I look back, I'm like, yeah, that's the biggest gift. The biggest gift is that I moved to Tennessee when I did, and I got to meet you. Like, I think that's all orchestrated by my dad.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
that I saw your heart, that you brought me into this world to bring me into this world. I'm like, we heal from living. We don't heal from hiding,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And
Yes.
I
Yes.
hid for so long, and my healing didn't start till I lived, till I like experienced things and then was like, I want to call my dad. Oh, that hurt. Okay. Let me tell him this way. Like until I started experiencing life because it's gonna hurt no matter what. But
Mhm.
you know what? You fall in love. I'm like, my dad won't be there to walk me down the aisle, but you know who will be? All these people, and they know all about him
Mhm.
because they know me, and I can, like, but me sitting and crying in a corner for 2 years isn't gonna make that happen faster or slower. It's just gonna still
Yeah.
happen. And so
Yeah.
I personally choose to heal by living.
Yeah.
And that was painful for me to do. I didn't want to keep like pushing on, but I was like, I'm not gonna be the person that they saw in me,
Oh,
you know?
girl. Yeah, that right there motivates the crap out of me because when my mom passed, I did this 21 day Deepak Chopra thing where I had to ask my mom just when she was living. It was probably
Mm-hmm.
like a month or two before she passed. Um, and one of the questions you have to ask is you have to ask your mom, what does she regret? Did she
Mm-hmm.
have any regrets? And I asked my mom that, and she was so annoyed. She always acts like I annoy her, but when I ask her questions like that, she's like, "Here you go, the deep child." I'm like, "Mom, let me talk to you about human design and the chakras." She's like, you know, but she entertained me, and she texted me her answer, and she didn't have any regrets. She just said the one thing if she had to name something, she wished she had learned how to let go faster. She wished she had learned how to really, like, she said, not let other people like like basically knock her off her square.
Mm-hmm.
And I really resonate with that and how to let go
Mm-hmm.
faster because I saw the shift in her as she got older. Like
Mm-hmm.
when she hit her like late 40s 50s, I saw the shift in I care a lot to that's what you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do me. Like I'm not gonna let
Yeah.
what you're doing interfere with what I think about myself, how I love my family, how I take care of my family. Like that is over there. This is me. I did my part. I'm just gonna do it. And
Mm-hmm.
I really like envied her ability to make up her mind and do what she wanted to do. She really just she was she, she left it all on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And that really makes me, excited because when she died, although unexpected, she died in the house that she built with her husband and
Mm-hmm.
fully designed in his arms. She died, owning her own business, one of the highest paid software analysts, in the
Mm-hmm.
country. She was proud of is proud of her daughters. Ain't nobody ended up on a pole, but if that's your business, don't
That's your business.
ladies, that's your business. Like ain't no shame, ladies, do your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And but she did and contributed to the world in such a manner that um we were all very proud of her, and she was
Mm-hmm.
very loved and beloved. And I thought to myself, well, damn, she set this bar high.
Hi.
So high. And so I thought to myself, well, I know one thing, I gotta hop to it. whatever
Mm-hmm.
whatever my goals are, like she met just knocked them down, all of her
Yeah.
goals. And I'm like, she made, and by the way, I feel like I have to preface this with, she didn't have a life where people lied to her when she was
Yeah.
younger. Her mother died when she was 17. Her family disowned her, and she like dropped out of school, self-taught software analyst. She loved despite not having the
Mm-hmm.
kind of love that she desired in her life
Mm-hmm.
outside of the family she built,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And when I say, I have joy in my heart because there are forces in this world that want you to believe that you're alone and you're not worth anything and you're not this or that. And despite all of that, she designed her life. She created her life. She trusted her partner
Mm-hmm.
and my dad, and said no, like it ends here. Like this generational trauma, nonsense. The last gift that she gave us was finding her biological father.
Mm-hmm.
And that family has um, included me and my sister and my dad. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that was such a peaceful, like, connection, you know? And these are people where I see them and I'm like, oh my, like, I feel like you can feel like family. You're like, yo,
Mm-hmm.
we belong together. I'm glad that was the gift my mother was looking for all her life. And she was able to find it literally like 4 years before she passed, you know? And so when I think about my mother's life, when I think about what she was able to contribute to the world, to herself, to her children, to her family, her husband, I've had such an incredible role model
Mm-hmm.
and in how to love people
Mm-hmm.
and also how to remove the 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 expectancy and the expectancy around people because they don't have the capacity to love you. Doesn't mean you love them less. You just remove your expectancy so that people can operate in their own flow and you can operate in your own flow and feel good about what you're putting out in the world and your response and how you are moving through life. And you know, I think sometimes it takes, you know, you don't know what you lost, what you have until you loved and lost.
Mm-hmm.
And as I'm going into, you know, I just had a birthday, 38, and, you know, going into this period in my life where um, I, I'm really about like loving on people that love me and continuing to give and continuing to fill my cup and continuing to like put my dreams out in the world because we don't know what can happen when you're obedient to your dream. Because my mother was obedient to her dream and just her life and what she believed, like she was obedient to God's call in her life,
Mm-hmm.
that liberated me. And
Yeah.
so I want to be able to do that, you know, for my people too.
Oh, Tiff. Whew. I'm just gonna let that marinate for a second. I okay. I can't even tell you how much this conversation is like filling my soul. I'm so happy that, first of all, that you said that you'd be on this, and then these nuggets and this truth. And this is also how you build community, I believe. It's why I started Jacques Talk. I believe you build community through vulnerability and conversation and honesty and openness. But I will say before we end, which I don't want to do, I'll talk to you for 4 hours. You know me, I like to chat. You like to chat. We are chatters. But I ask this to everybody, and I'm really excited to hear your answer, especially after this conversation about grief and about how you're living now. What is freedom to you?
That's my word. I love that word. Freedom is big. Freedom is power. It's
Mm-hmm.
self mastery. It is um, a necessity
Mm-hmm.
for my life and a necessity, a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
I will not be in spaces where I'm not free.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so freedom to me is like the fundamental core blocks of how I can provide and honor my highest self. Like freedom is it.
Yeah, I think that's what we should all strive for. I always
Yeah,
say freedom to me is peace,
very much so.
peace, peace and grounding. And I don't always get it, but I'm always aiming towards it. And when I'm not there, I know there's something that I'm not on the path I'm supposed to be on. Because if I don't feel free and at peace, then there's something not right. And that's how I always
Mm-hmm.
like judge my scope of life, friends, everything. And I always say my dad lived pretty free, like pretty free for a man from Arkansas, from segregated Arkansas. He was a pretty free man. So,
yeah.
you know, well, Tiff, first of all, I'm so happy that you took time out of your Wednesday and held space for this conversation. And I hope we do many more in private and in public, whatever. I just think you are a beautiful friend. And like I started this with, you are truly one of the reasons that I started living again. And
Wow.
I am beyond thankful that our paths have crossed, and to be a part of your community as you are mine, it is truly just the biggest blessing.
Oh, same, girl. Same.
So
Yeah. Our anniversary is coming up. Thanksgiving.
It is. It's coming up. I am very excited. I'm like, I'll make you some cookies. So, you're welcome. That's, my mom just sent me a mixer. I'm like, what's going on? So.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for having me. This is also a blessing. I think, we need to have more talks like this, more talks about grief, more talks about the real things that happen in life. And, happy to repost this and, share this too with folks that are interested in our opinions on this. But I'm going to see you out in these streets.
Oh, so. Yes. I'm outside.
All right.
When it's getting cold, that's when I go outside. I'm like, oh, a chill. Find me out in the street.
It's not chilling yet.
Not yet.
It's still 70,
it's
80
coming
something.
though. I feel it. It's on the tip. It's gonna be here. So, well, I love you. I will save this and I will share it, and we will have many more.
That sounds good, girl.
All right. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Bye.